Agriculture and its role in the transatlantic slave trade. The fueling of the slave trade was based on agriculture. The slave trade in the Caribbean was driven by agriculture, specifically the production of sugarcane. And hence the Caribbean was described as the sugar islands. Other crops were tobacco, coffee, cocoa, and the spices. And in North America, of course, it was cotton, rice, and tobacco. The extraction of African labor for employment in the Americas, about between 10 to 13 million people were brought over. And we see that most of these came from Senegal and the Gambia, 2 million. The Gold Coast, which is now Ghana, 1.5 million. The Slave Coast, which is Benin and Nigeria, about 4 million. And the Congo. And even East Africa, Mozambique, 1 million. The dependence on slave labor stemmed from the type of economic activity which was being developed in the Americas. And one of the major suppliers of slave labor was the king of Dahomey, which is now Benin. His dynasty traded in the 1700s. It started with the father, the son, and the grandson. And at one time, his father, King Aga, was earning £250,000 a year. He was one of the richest men in the world of slaves. He was exporting as many as 9,000 slaves a year to Caribbean and also Brazil. And also, you know, to nullify this view of Africa. And this is one of the reasons why this subject was so interesting to me, that Africa was the dark continent. Primitive. That's not true. There was one king, Alfonso, in the Congo. He became a Christian and renamed his capital city, San Salvador, and read theology and studied Portuguese law. He was so indoctrinated into the Portuguese culture that he created a hierarchy. He had dukes, counts, and other titled people. And this was in the 1500s, you know, shortly after Columbus's arrival in the New World. And remember that Congo supplied 3 million slaves to the Americas. One of his sons, Enrique, became a Catholic bishop because Pope Pius X allowed Africans to become in the Catholic priesthood. And they had schools because he was able to get the church to send priests and schools. And so this idea that we were illiterate people is all false. And the same Alfonso, because of the way he was able to develop the slave trade, he sent emissaries to Portugal and to England, who became interpreters and who mixed with the Europeans. And so this whole myth of the ignorance in Africa is untrue. Most of the agricultural work was in the sugar plantations. Of course, there was coffee, like I said, cotton in the US, tobacco. And so the transatlantic slave was an important step in the route to globalization, as it covered trade between Africa, Europe, and the Caribbean, and the Americas. You know, Rex Nettleford described the Caribbean, and I like this description, as depicting the melody of Europe and the rhythm of Africa. I think that aptly describes. With reference to the Bahamas, you know, in 1831, there were only about 12,000 blacks in the Bahamas, and of them, about 3,000 of them were free. And the numbers of whites or Europeans, we blacks were 3 times as many as Europeans. The Caribbean, as I said, played a pivotal role in this whole slave trade. In March of 2014, the Caribbean community announced a package of transatlantic slave trade on Caribbean nations. And Caribbean wants full apology by the governments of Europe involved in this trade. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is just some background into why this subject interests me, the role I play in the Caribbean. And I'll ask Paul to show the slide. Something Left Behind. That's my next book, because it is my intention, as I have the facts which were not taught about Africa, slavery and slave trade. And I got that topic from my wife, who said that she thought that it was an apt topic to talk about my ancestry. And I think that what I hope to achieve is that we will develop a new sense of self. You know, I'm a student of Sir Winston Churchill, and Sir Winston says that a people which does not know its history does not know itself. And I think that has been a big part of why we felt a certain way as a result of the slave experience of our forefathers. We are Caribbean people, not Americans. When I say Americans, not U.S. Americans or Africans. We are special people who have evolved out of a particular set of circumstances. These circumstances have shaped the 4 eras in which we, as Caribbean people, have come out of. The arrival of the Europeans, slavery and the slave trade, colonialism, and the independence era. This is our region. Very wide. And in 1514, in 1514, Bartholomew de las Casas was granted a block of land in the Spanish colony of Cuba. And attached to the land were 100 Amerindians who proved to be unable to cope with sugarcane production. In 1517, de las Casas convinced the Spanish authorities that he needed African labor, and this launched transatlantic slave trade. And they wanted us because they said we were docile, we did not object to civility, but we worked hard. That was the view of Africa. And like I said earlier, sugarcane production became the engine of the slave industry. And Madeira, as I said earlier, brought the nexus of sugarcane production and slavery together. Because as late as 1452, Madeira at that time was the major sugar producing place in the world, locale in the world. And Sugar was brought from Valencia. You know, Sandy and I visited Valencia. And Valencia is a very agricultural area. Matter of fact, the Valencia orange got its founding in Valencia. And it's very tropical, very much like here. And so in that area of the Mediterranean is where this whole sugarcane industry began. And then we went to the Canary Islands. And as you see there, Tenerife, you know, people were non-Africans, native set of people were enslaved, and they were also engaged in the slave trade. Sugarcane production in the New World, apart from Cuba, began in Hispaniola and was transported to different Canaries and Portugal. Columbus brought sugarcane to Hispaniola in 1493, and it was commercialized with manpower from the Canaries, and it was an industrial product. And the colonial Spanish places like Mexico, Cuba, and Peru, they were engaged into sugar production. And Brazil emerged as one of the largest sugar producers. And as a result of that, you would find that Brazil became the chief market for African slaves. One of the features of slavery is that Christianity, Judaism, Islam, all recognized, approved, and saw it as a part of one's being. And from the Christian ethic, they look at Genesis, the Noah and his son. And because Noah's son saw his nakedness, he was made black. And as a result, we black people have been poured into this aspect of black slavery. Good. Slavery and the slave trade. Like I said, there were 11 million people who were involved in this massive movement of humans. And as a result, you have the Africanization of the Caribbean. Like I said, the Africans were the main traders. They only supplied the Europeans. And these, the Homans or people from Benin, were some of the main merchants of slavery. And as early as during the 1700s, the 17th, 18th century was the peak of the slave trade. And this is Alfonso, Christian king, came to the throne in 1506. You know, when you look at 1492, very close, a matter of 14 years, you know, that these people have been introduced to Christianity. But, and there are two other, the Oba in Benin, and the Oba King Manuel, I can't see the and this is Africa. As you see, Benin, Nigeria, which is called the Slave Coast, and Ghana, and Togo, the Ivory Coast, and Guinea. And those are the areas where most of the slaves were drawn from.